السلام عليكم ورحمة الله نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. Alhamdulillah. Today we meet again, and today I would like to talk about etiquettes of performing Hajj. Etiquettes of performing Hajj. How to go to make a pilgrimage to Makkah al-Mukarramah. Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us compulsory to go for Hajj if we are capable. The Holy Quran affirms, وَلِلَّهِ عَلَى النَّاسِ حِجُّ الْبَيْتِ مَنِ اسْتَطَاعَ إِلَيْهِ سَبِيلًا وَمَنْ كَفَرَ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ غَنِيٌّ عَنِ الْعَالَمِينَ. Which means, and the people owe this duty to God, that whoever has the means to journey to his house should make a pilgrimage, and whoever refuses to obey this command should know that God needs no favor from anyone in the world. Sadaqallahul Azim. So this is commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that whoever have a means to go to Hajj should do it immediately, as soon as possible. Do not delay or keep putting off the performance of Hajj. Whenever Allah bestows enough means on you for the fulfillment of this interesting obligation, set out for Hajj at the earliest opportunity. You do not know how much longer life will last, so why should you keep putting off the performance of this duty from one year to the next? So immediately, once we have the capability, then should go for Hajj immediately. A greater ruination and depravity of man cannot be imagined, that God should thus openly proclaim his indifference and disconcern to men. The traditions relate. The hadith mentioned, the person who wakes up his mind to go on the pilgrimage should make haste to perform this obligation. It is possible that he may be taken ill, or his she-camel may get lost, or perhaps an even event occurs which make it impossible for him to go to the Hajj. Hadith reported by Ibn Majah. The implication that when means are available, a person should not evade the performance of this duty without sufficient reason. The implication is that when means are available, a person should not evade the performance of this duty without sufficient reason, for one never knows if this means, freedom and facility will still be available to him in the near future. And, God forbid, the man may remain deprived of the blessing of performing the Hajj forever. Na'udhu billah. May God save every disbeliever from this deprival. The Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, peace and blessing of Allah be upon him, has reprimanded such person in very strict terms. The tradition records that the Holy Prophet, peace be and blessing of Allah be upon him, observed, a man who is not prevented by illness or genuine need, or is free from the restraint of a tyrannical and despotic ruler, and yet does not perform the Hajj may die a Jew or a Christian, for aught we care. Hadith reported in Sunan Kubra. Hazrat Umar, God be pleased with him, was heard on saying, I wish to impose jizyah on those who, despite having means, do not perform the Hajj, for they are not Muslim. They are not Muslim at all. That the saying of Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu. Go on a pilgrimage to the house of Allah and perform Hajj to please God alone. Be ikhlas in the performing of Hajj. Do not stain this pure objective with any worldly motive or interest. So go to Hajj purely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Holy Quran affirms, وَلَا آمِّينَ الْبَيْتَ الْحَرَامَ يَبْتَغُونَ فَضْلًا مِّن رَّبِّهِمْ وَرِضْوَانًا. Sadaqallahul Azim. Surah Al-Ma'idah, verse number 2, which means, and hinder not those who are proceeding to the sacred house, seeking the graces and pleasures of Allah, and hinder those who are proceeding to the sacred house, seeking the grace and pleasure of Allah. Another ayat from Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 196. وَأَتِمُّوا الْحَجَّ وَالْعُمْرَةَ لِلَّهِ, and complete the Hajj and Umrah for Allah's sake. And the Holy Prophet, peace and blessing of Allah be upon him, has affirmed, the reward for the performance of Hajj Mabrur is certainly no less than admission to paradise. So the reward for performing Hajj, acceptable Hajj, Hajj al-Mabrur, is paradise, is Jannah. Do not circulate the news of your going to the pilgrimage. Keep your departure for Hajj and your return a private matter. It's better to not to announce our departure for Hajj. Keep it a private matter. To keep it ikhlas in intention. Avoid strictly all those customs and ceremonies which smack of ostentation or display. We fear that we become display. Even though the real test of righteousness and acceptability of a deed is that it should be performed with the sole intention of pleasing Allah, and that the motive of the act should be free from all taint of any extraneous desire. But this point should be especially borne in mind in the case of Hajj, for Hajj is the last resort for effecting a spiritual revolution and the purification of soul and the moral conduct of men. The spiritual patient who is not successfully cured by this efficacious treatment has no hope of healing by any other means. Even you have no wherewithal to proceed to the pilgrimage, you should cherish the desire to view the house of God, to offer salam, peace and blessing on the mausoleum of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and keep the Ibrahimi sentiments of sacrifice which are produced in the souls of the believer by Hajj ever afresh in your heart. The heart which is devoid of this sentiment is not that of a true believer, but resembles to a desolate ruin. Even though we don't have the means, then we should still have the intention to go to Hajj. The Holy Prophet ﷺ, peace and blessing of Allah, has affirmed, those who go to perform Hajj or Umrah are the special guests of God. Their prayers are granted by God. And if they supplicate for mercy, He forgives them. Hadith reported by Tabrani. So those who go for Hajj and Umrah, Allah accept their prayer, inshallah. Take the best provision which when you go for Hajj. The best provision in this case is fear of Allah. So the best provision is the fear of Allah. In this journey of righteousness, the man who avoids transgressing the commands of God and who reaps the maximum benefit of the blessing of pilgrimage is the one who fears Allah under all circumstances and has a burning zeal to win the favor of Allah. The Holy Quran says, وَتَزَوَّدُوا فَإِنَّ خَيْرَ الزَّادِ التَّقْوَى. صدق الله العظيم. And take provisions for the journey, that is to perform Hajj, for verily the best provision is the fear of Allah. Having resolved to go to Hajj, start making preparation with single-minded devotion. Keep the date of the Hajj constantly in view. Reflect upon each article of the obligation of pilgrimage. Reflect upon each article of the obligation of pilgrimage. Try to realize the feelings which God intends to promote in the heart of the believer through the observance of those articles of the obligation of Hajj. Like a conscientious and knowledgeable believer, observe all the articles of Hajj with full awareness and imbibe the realities contained in the articles of Hajj and endeavor to bring about a righteous revolution in your life in familiarity with these realities. It is for this reason that God has ordained the performance of Hajj. It is for this reason that God has ordained the performance of Hajj obligatory for the believer. God ordains. وَاذْكُرُوهُ كَمَا هَدَاكُمْ وَإِن كُنْتُمْ مِنْ قَبْلِهِ لَمِنَ الضَّالِّينَ. Which means, and remember Him, and He has guided you, and verily, prior to it, you were of those gone astray. For this purpose, deeply reflect upon those portions of the Holy Quran which describe the reality, importance, and the sentiments created by the performance of Hajj. A careful study of the tradition of the Holy Prophet, peace and blessing of Allah be upon him, and those books which deal with the date of the Hajj and discuss the article of Hajj will also prove useful in this respect. Memorize the propitious prayer which should be offered during the Hajj. This may be found in the book of tradition, and the words of the Holy Prophet, peace be and blessing of Allah be upon him, beg not from God that what the Prophet, peace and blessing of Allah be upon him, himself had asked for. So learn the hadith about going for Hajj. Protect your Hajj from all unpropitious motive or action. Beware lest your Hajj should become like the Hajj of those who will got no share in the hereafter. So be careful that our Hajj is accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hereafter, because the latter group shut its eyes from the reward of the eternal world and begged exclusively for worldly bliss. When they reach the house of God, they offer the following prayer. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا وما له في الآخرة من خلاق. Do not ask the prayer for this dunya only, but should ask both this dunya and akhirah. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. That's the best prayer. Make a plea to God for grace and success in both worlds by means of the Hajj, and pray to God in this word: Creator, I have come to thy presence to supplicate for success and the fulfillment of my righteous desires in both this life and the life hereafter. Keep saying this prayer also. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. God, grant us goodness in this world and good in the hereafter also, and protect us from the agony of fire. During Hajj, avoid transgression of God's commands with extreme sensitivity. The journey to perform the Hajj is in fact a passage to the house of God. You are the guest of God there. You have gone there to renew your covenant of devotion to God. By putting your hand on the Hajarul Aswad, you are in fact taking a pledge of faith and bondage, and when you kiss the stone, you kiss the emblem of submission to God. You proclaim your fidelity by chanting repeated takbir, praises, and tahleel, la ilaha illallah of God. Imagine then that in such an atmosphere, how disgusting would be the commission of even a minor vice or the blemish of a small transgression. God has warned his servants who present themselves in his court in these words: Wala fusuk, wala fusuk. There should be no ungodliness. There should be no ungodliness. During the Hajj, keep away from all sorts of quarrels. In the course of the journey, when there is a rush of people everywhere, when you suffer discomfort, when there is a clash or interest at every step, when feelings are injured every moment, it is the duty of the guests of God to display large-heartedness and self-sacrifices and show toleration, liberality, and kindness to everybody. Abstain from rebuking your servant abstain from rebuking your servant even. ولا جدال في الحج ولا جدال في الحج. And there should be no quarrels in the Hajj. Safeguard against sexual matters and continue to be vigilant against carnal sentiments in the course of Hajj. In the course of the journey, when there is a greater possibility of provocation of sexual passion or of eyes going astray, you should become more alert against the evil prompting of your passion and the devil, and try to protect your piety at all costs. In the case you are accompanied by your spouse, you should not only avoid indulgence in sexual relationship with her, but also shun all that can stir up sexual passion. In order to warn the pilgrims, God ordains, الحج أشهر معلومات فمن فرض فيهن الحج فلا رفث, which means the pilgrim is in the well-known month, and whoever is minded to perform the pilgrimage, let him remember that there is to be no lewdness. No lewdness. And the Holy Prophet, peace and blessing of Allah be upon him, affirmed, any man who comes here to perform Hajj in the house of God and keep away from immoral and sexual affairs and has not indulged in ungodly act, return in that state of purity and innocence in which he was born from the womb of his mother. Hadith reported by Bukhari and Muslim. Pay full reverence to the symbol of God. The word Shari'ah refers to the symbol appointed by God to remind and bring home to the people some spiritual or meaningful reality. Sha'ir is the plural of the word Sha'ar is the plural of the above word. All things associated with Hajj serve as symbol to bring home to you of some reality about devotion to Allah. You should revere them all. Sha'airillah. The Holy Quran affirms, يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تحلوا شعائر الله ولا الشهر الحرام والهدي ولا القلائد ولا آمين البيت الحرام يبتغون فضلا من ربهم ورضوانا. Which mean, O ye who believe, profane not Allah's emblems, nor the sacred man, nor the offspring, nor the garland, nor those repairing to the sacred house, seeking the grace and pleasure of Allah. Surah Al-Hajj also mentioned, وَمَنْ يُعَظِّمْ شَعَائِرَ اللَّهِ فَإِنَّهَا مِنْ تَقْوَى الْقُلُوبِ. Which means, and whoso observe the sanctity of what has been ordained by symbol of Allah, do so because of the piety of the hearts. Perform the article of Hajj with utmost humility and adopt an attitude of destitution and helplessness before God. For above all, God likes the virtues of humility, modesty, and poverty in man. Someone inquired from the Holy Prophet ﷺ, who is a Hajj? The Holy Prophet ﷺ observed, the person who has disheveled hair and is covered with dust all over. Say talbiyah with a loud voice after tying the ihram, after each prayer, which ascending a height or descending a slope, on joining a caravan, and on walking up each morning. The word of the talbih are as follows. لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك. Which mean, here I am, O Lord, here I am, no partner hast thou, here I am, behold, unto thee belong the praise and bounty, and also the sovereignty, no partner hast thou. On arrival at the plain of Arafat, say the maximum number of prayers for mercy and offer penitence. The Holy Quran affirms, ثم أفيضوا من حيث أفاض الناس واستغفروا الله إن الله غفور رحيم. Which means, then hasten onward from the place whence the multitude hasteneth onward and ask forgiveness of Allah. Verily, Allah is forgiving, merciful. The Holy Prophet ﷺ has observed the day of Arafah is the best of all days in the view of God. And this day, the Lord of the heavens especially turned his attention toward the world and expresses his pride before the angel on the humility and misery of his pilgrims. God observed to the angel, O angel, look, my servant stand before me in the sun, in a helpless state. They have gathered here from afar, and the hope of begetting my mercy has drawn them on this place, although they have not yet seen the agony of punishment. After expressing his pride, God then ordains that these people have been granted salvation from the torments of hell. On no other occasion are such a greater number of men granted salvation as on the day of Arafah. Hadith reported by Ibn Hibban. On reaching Mina, offer sacrifices with the same passionate zeal and devotion to God, with which the friend of God, Hazrat Ibrahim Khalilullah, peace be upon him, has placed his knife on the neck of his dear son, Hazrat Ismail, peace be upon him. Imbibe this feeling of sacrifice and let them be embedded in your mind and heart, so that you may be willing to offer sacrifice in every field of life, and your practical life reflects an image of Inna salati wa nusuki wa mahyaya wa mamati lillahi rabbil alamin la sharika lah. Which means, verily, my prayer, my sacrifice, my living, and my dying are for Allah, Lord of the worlds. Occupy yourself continuously in remembrance of God in the days of Hajj, and never let the memory of God fade from your heart. Remembrance of God is the essence of all worship. God affirms, وَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ فِي أَيَّامٍ مَعْدُودَاتٍ. Remember Allah during appointed days. Further, Allah observes, فَإِذَا قَضَيْتُم مَنَاسِكَكُمْ فَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ كَذِكْرِكُمْ آبَاءَكُمْ أَوْ أَشَدَّ ذِكْرًا. And when you have completed your devotion, then remember Allah as you remember your fathers, or with more lively remembrance. The main purpose of the article of Hajj is that during the days of Hajj, you should keep yourself completely absorbed in the commemoration of God, and the memory of God should be permeated through your soul, that the mundane activities and struggle of life may not succeed in turning your thought away from the memory of God. In the days of paganism, people used to laud the memory of their ancestor and made loud boasts about them after performing the article of Hajj. God ordained that these days should be spent in the remembrance of God and in acknowledging his grandeur alone, who is truly great. Perform circumambulation of God's house with feeling of great love and devotion. Perform tawaf. Perform tawaf. God ordains, and you should circumambulate the house of God. The The Holy Prophet ﷺ, peace and blessing of Allah be upon him, has affirmed, each day God confers 124. Each day God confers 120 favors on his pilgrims. Every day Allah gives 120 favors to the Hajj, to the pilgrims. 60 blessings are shadowed upon those who circumambulate the house of God. 40 blessings are bestowed upon those who are offers prayer in the house of God. And 20 blessings are conferred upon such as only keep gazing at the Kaabah. Hadith reported by Bukhari. Hadith reported by Bayhaqi. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give 120 favors. 40 for those, 60 for those make tawaf. 40 for those who pray in the Masjid al-Haram. And 20 for those who just seeing the Kaabah, just glaze the Kaabah, just stare to the Kaabah, just see Kaabah. Also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave 20 blessings. Furthermore, the Holy Prophet ﷺ observed, he who has performed 50 circumambulation of the Baytullah is purged of all sins and is transformed into that state of innocence in which he was on the day of his delivery from the womb of his mother. Hadith reported by Tirmizi. Whoever perform 50 tawaf, 50 tawaf, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive of his sin and he will become like the day he was born. MashaAllah, inshaAllah. So Alhamdulillah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our Hajj, inshaAllah. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.